Imagine you just built a computer and you have the option of two operating systems. One reports over 5,600 security vulnerabilities in a year, while the other one reports only 600. Which one would you install on your computer? Most people would choose the second one, and they'd probably be wrong, because according to the latest CVE statistics, Linux is now at the top of the vulnerability leaderboard. It reports around 8 to 9 new kernel vulnerabilities every single day. That's more than almost any other software project on Earth. So, has Linux suddenly become insecure? No, obviously not. It's like Sir Arnold or Sidney Mam being insecure about their bodies. In fact, those high numbers of vulnerabilities might actually make Linux one of the most transparent operating systems ever built. To understand what happened, we need to go back to February 2024. The Linux kernel project officially became its own CVE Numbering Authority, which means previously other software vendors or security groups were used to assign vulnerabilities before 2024. But now, Linux published their own vulnerability list on CVE records, and unexpectedly, they changed the policy. Before 2024, only very critical vulnerabilities were used to publish on CVE records, but Linux came up with a policy. Every bug gets a CVE. So when they find a bug, first they solve it, then it goes to CVE. That's why from around 300 CVEs per year, the number reached over 5,600 CVEs in 1 year. Technically, those vulnerabilities were inside Linux back in the day, but didn't get on the records. Now they publicly announced that Linux is not perfect. I just want to say, nobody is perfect except her. So yes, this transparency is good, but my concern is, where are all these bugs actually coming from? The first and obvious thing is Linux was built with continuous efforts over 35 years, so it contains the very large codebase, estimated 40 million lines of code. Even though Linux has more than 18,000 good contributors, it's still a very hard job to manage, but they're doing a great job right now. The actual problem with code is relying on a part of code which is not even written by Linux developers. I am talking about device drivers, which are 60% of the Linux kernel. The main problem with those drivers is they are written by corporate giants like Intel and AMD. Plus, there are hundreds of other vendors who write those drivers for Linux and submit them on GitHub. Now, the Linux team reviews them, but it is a hard process to detect those errors. For example, here's the AMD GPU driver. It is almost 7,000 lines of code. And not only this, but this driver alone depends on many kernel features and APIs. This is just one example. There are 25 million lines of code filled with these types of drivers code. And guess what? This entire code is C code, and C is powerful language, but as Uncle Ben says,
with great power comes great responsibility.
But still, even if you write C code with great precision, there will be some errors. Especially C is a memory-unsafe language, so a large number of errors will be of memory safety as well. And Linux developers have a master plan for the current situation. Linux might have one of the most aggressive bug hunting systems in the software industry. Every day, Google runs an automated system called Syzbot. Think of it as a robot that spends 24 hours a day trying to break Linux. It generates millions of random system calls, constantly looking for crashes, memory corruption, race conditions, and other hidden bugs. Whenever it finds one, it automatically creates a report, sends it to Linux developers, and once the bug is fixed, that fix often becomes one of the CVEs we see on the leaderboard. Ironically, many of Linux's vulnerabilities aren't discovered by hackers. They're discovered by Linux itself. But finding bugs is only half the battle. The real question is, how do you stop these bugs from happening in the first place? Memory safety is a big problem, and the Linux community realized that you can't solve a language problem with more code reviews. You solve it with a memory-safe language. That's why Linux has started adopting Rust. And as you know, last year, Rust became the permanent member of Linux architecture, so entire categories of memory safety bugs will be gone, but only in the Rust code, which is currently only 0.4%, while 97.9% is still C code. Not a complete C code, but some part of C will be rewritten in Rust in the near future. So Linux is taking new steps toward a better future.